What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about some Grayscale trusts today at the request of C-Car Guy. We're going to talk about BCHG, LTCN, GSOL, Mana, GLNK, all at the request of you, my friend. He just requested that we talked about some Grayscale trusts, so I threw on the top dogs that we normally talk about, BCHG, LTCN, and GSOL, and then I threw on GLNK and Mana because I feel like it's been some time since we talked about them. I even remember somebody mentioned GLNK in the comments. I didn't respond. If I responded, I would have given you a shout out, but I didn't respond, so I don't have your name written down. I didn't write down your request. I'll probably talk about GLNK again because of that. But anyways, guys, we're going to talk about BCHG, LTCN, GSOL, GLNK, and Mana in this video. If that sounds good to you, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get started. So what I like about BCHG is yesterday it moved down 14%. Bitcoin Cash itself moved down about 11.2%, right? It did move down a little bit more than BCH, but we are seeing this kind of relationship come into fruition with BCHG, which is that it is catching up to BCH, right? A drop like this 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, like however long ago it was, whenever BCH was moving up in November and BCHG was still moving down, you guys, a drop like this would have been terrible. It would have been absolutely like horrendous, life-shattering drop for BCHG if BCH dropped 11.2%. But yesterday, all BCHG did was drop. It dropped a little bit more, right? It dropped a little bit more, showing that it is more resilient. It's still a Grayscale trust. It's prone to bigger swings up and bigger dips down. It's prone to that. But these dips down, these more intense dips to the downside, it's not that intense. 14% versus basically 12%. It's not that big of a deal, is it? And even actually, I bet, let's see. This was around the time when Grayscale closed, right here. I bet, let's see, man. Like literally, I bet around the time Grayscale closed, you were probably even lower. So like yes, your daily closed at a 12% loss, but you could have seen an overall yesterday, BCH dropped 17, 18%. BCHG didn't even drop that much, right? It only dropped 14%. So in a certain sense, BCHG is holding up better than BCH is. But I digress. I'm saying we're seeing it in the pudding, right? The proof's in the pudding. If you dropped 11% in November for BCH, BCHG would have shit the bed. It would have been terrible, right? We saw BCH pumping and BCHG was dumping. Same thing for LTCN. So I think this relationship is showing exactly with what I've been saying over the past couple of weeks, that they've diverged from each other. You've seen that premium narrow versus the NAV price, and now we're going to start to see it expand again. We're going to start to see the trusts get away from the underlying assets. And we're seeing it here even with the drops. I think we're seeing the proof even with these drops. That's why I've spent so much time on this intro focusing on that. And it's not just with BCHG. We'll see it with LTCN too, but we won't focus on it as much because we've already said it. So with that in mind, let's get started. Rejected the overbought zone here. Found an area of resistance, of course, it's fine, okay? From a high to a low. You went right up to around your 786 and pulled all the way back. I wouldn't say, I mean, you didn't tip your 786, but I would call this a 786 rejection of sorts. It definitely seems like it. With these 786 rejections, you do find support oftentimes at the 0.5 or the 382. And look at that, you've basically done that already. Bitcoin Cash, I just made a video on it. I was thinking that we either have found the low, I'm comfortable, I'm totally fine with that being the low, or we might spend a little bit of time moving sideways to find our low, which might come in around, just below $500 there, around $480 to $500. It could even be lower than $480, it's possible, but something like that is what I would expect at the lowest for Bitcoin Cash at the moment. If not, more likely it probably just moves sideways until right before the 20th, right before Christmas week, and then we start to rip up again going into the end of the year. So in that time, we'll probably see BCHG do very similar things, right? It'll probably just move sideways. So I would expect this, here, I'm going to delete all this stuff here. I would expect BCHG to do some of this, right, over this coming week, maybe even week and a half, but I think it'll be slanted to the upside. I would expect that we see this premium grow for BCHG versus BCH over this next week and a half period. Even if BCH itself isn't growing that much, I think I think the BCH premium will grow, but it won't grow that much. I think it's just it'll be a testament. And let's actually look at this right now. I'm curious because let's see if in a week it has grown. I think it will grow, but let's just see if it has grown, because that's kind of my theory, right? If Bitcoin Cash is moving down, BCHG isn't moving down as much. It shows that it's more resilient right now, right? It's more focused on getting that premium growth. Is my whole theory here, right? If Bitcoin Cash pumps, BCHG pumps more, we're gaining that premium. If Bitcoin Cash is being boring, BCHG might be boring too, but with a little bit more growth than Bitcoin Cash, that all agrees with the theory. So I want to actually keep this in mind. I'm going to write this down so that I know. Market price. So we're not even quite at a 2x in premium yet, but 484 NAV price. I'm just going to write this down for fun. And then $8 market price. Cool. That's easy. Yeah. Market. And if I remember to do this, cool. If not, it was a nice thought, but hopefully I do remember to do this, because if things go the way I expect them to go, we will see this NAV price and the market price grow, and we will see the separation, the difference between them. We'll also see that grow as well. That's my thoughts. Okay. Probably between now and, let's say, probably the end of this week, by the end of Friday. I would think by the end of Friday we see that exact thing. And it won't be much. It won't be significant, but it will happen. And if that happens, if that's the case, then I think that's proof. That's more evidence to what I'm saying, is that these trusts, they're getting ready, you guys. They're getting ready for their next phase up. So all that to say, I know it might have been a bit of a roller coaster ride to get to this point. BCHG, I expected to kind of consolidate between about like 950 and where it's at now over the next week, probably slowly crawling to the upside, right? Next week, week and a half, Christmas week, or right before Christmas week, the ass end of the week before Christmas, will start to pump. We'll start to get above prices that are above $10 and moving away, right? I do believe by the end of this year, if not by the end of January, we'll be worth like $37 or more. I think this thing's about to fly, man. I really do. It can't happen in that amount of time, man. That's how close we are to the end of the year, how close we are to the end of January. We're at $8 now. You want to call for $37 to $67 in that time? That's impossible. You're crazy. Okay, I get it. I know it sounds crazy. I get it, because in 1 week here, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks here, we literally did this exact same move, okay, from a low to a high. We did that, right? If we were to start, let's say last week was the start, because we had a nice move up. Let's say that was it. Okay, 6 weeks from now, that put us at $40. And 6 weeks from that week, that would be literally the very first week of January. That would be all the way at $40. That'd be if we repeated what we saw here. Generally, as cycles continue, you get stronger moves. Okay, we've even seen another move that took place in a 3 week period from this week here, this low, 1, 2, 3 weeks. It took us up 273%. Now, grant it's not as large as the one that we saw over here, but even from that low, that would imply that by the end of this month, even before Christmas, we could be up as high as like 23, $22. If we're up there by Christmas, or even just before the end of December, how much higher could we go by the end of January? If we're going to break this high, or we're already around breaking this high by the end of December, how much higher are we going to go by the end of January? My expectation would be, from a high to a low, it's somewhere in this golden or this expected area for extensions, between 67 and $37. Likely the lower half, not the upper half. That's my expectations, okay? Yeah. But you never know. It depends on BCH, man. If BCH goes crazy, this thing's going to go crazier. It's going to go crazier. And we're starting to see that now. Anyways, that's BCHG. Let's carry on. LTCN. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you haven't. It helps the channel grow. Helps put a smile on my face. I can't get these smiles off my faces whenever I see all the likes that I get. No, I'm just kidding. It does mean a lot. I do appreciate it, but it's not like it hurts me. It's not like a make or break on the day if I don't get a lot of likes on a video. But I really do appreciate them. It helps push the content out. The more likes you guys give, the more the algorithm reads that this content's being received positively, and it pushes it to other people who have similar search algorithmic layers that you do, like other things that other people who maybe you've never met, you've never seen, but they look up similar content to you. If you hit the like button, it pushes it to them if they've never seen this, right? And maybe my channel's not for them, but just again, all it is just a quick like. I don't normally go on this big of a tangent to tell people to hit the like button. I think it's cringy, but for whatever reason, I'm doing it now. You probably pull back a little bit, LTCN. You probably do pull back a little bit more. I like that $18.12 area, but you don't need to. I just want to see you do that because it would respect the fibs. You go from your 0.5 all the way down to your 382, but you don't need to. At any rate, maybe tomorrow you open up and you come down. If you look at this, you dropped 15%. What did LTC do? LTC dropped 18%. You guys were seeing it, right? We're seeing it. It's exactly what I was saying, and it's not the exact same thing I was saying. I was saying yesterday maybe we see the underlying assets drop. We can see the trust move sideways or even move up slightly. But this is just as good. Moving down less than the underlying asset, still moving down, but moving down less. This is exactly agreeing with what I've been saying, which is that we've been narrowing that gap between the premium and the NAV price. And now we're ready to expand upon it again. And this, when Litecoin's dropping, if Litecoin dropped 18% in November, you guys, LTCN would have shit its pants off. Literally November 20th, it dropped 14%. What did Litecoin do on November 20th? It dropped 3%. LTCN dropped 14%. This thing dropped 4%. If this was a month ago, this would have been terrible. But now you're dropping less. This is bullish stuff. And what you're doing too is you're finding support on this previous area of resistance. So the lowest that I'd see you going is probably this 382, probably around $18.20. You might not even go lower. I'd like to see you go to the 382 just because it would look pretty. But just because it would look pretty doesn't mean it has to happen, right? I definitely don't think you'll go. I don't think you'll go all the way back down to this area. I do think you'll consolidate up here, and you're just getting ready. I would expect, just like most cryptos, you're probably going to Litecoin, the underlying assets, probably it'll move up, it'll move down, it'll kind of consolidate over the next week and a half. Maybe it moves slightly lower. And I would say the same thing for LTCN, except I don't think you move. If you do move slightly lower, it'll be like over the next couple days, if not tomorrow directly. But I think over the next week and a half, you probably just consolidate slowly to the upside, right? And you're getting ready to break out of this zone now and hit that $28 to $32 zone probably sometime next week, if not the week after. Going into the end of the year, end of January, we're expecting Litecoin or LTCN to be up at like $44 to $88. It's not as high on the spectrum as BCHG is, but it could go higher. You know, I'm waiting to see. I'm thinking that BCH is going to erupt more by the end of this month. You're going to see more growth overall for BCH than you're going to see for LTC by the end of this month. So I think that same growth might be reflected in the trusts. I think LTC will have its growth where it's going to be phenomenal, but I just don't think, if we look at LTC real quick, real quick, so you guys can hear what I'm talking about, right? LTC is in this grand kind of consolidation phase, right? That's not the best drawn line, but you can see it's in a grand consolidation phase. It's nowhere near breaking out, right? It's breaking out of this small consolidation phase. It's pretty big in itself, a multi-year consolidation phase nonetheless, pretty big itself, not going to lie. But in comparison to the multi-cycle consolidation phase, it's nothing. Okay, so you're breaking out of a somewhat significant thing, and it's nice. It'll cascade you up to the top of this range, but you're not breaking out of the significant thing. Bitcoin Cash, BCH, this thing is about to break out of a very significant trend. It's multi-cycle trend it's about to break out of, right? It's not breaking out of its multi-year trend. It's breaking out of its multi-cycle trend right now. So I think this breakout will be a bigger deal for Bitcoin Cash than this breakout here will be for LTC. The ergo, I don't see LTCN going up to its like 1618, 1414 area by the end of December, by the end of January. I would think more so the 886 to 1272 will do. You're at 1881 now. I'm calling for prices at $44 to $88. You're not as deep in the extensions, but you probably that's more growth overall, I think. So that's the expectation for LTCN. Essentially boring. This week is going to be very boring for anybody loading up or trying to load up on Grayscale trusts. Buy. It's a great time to buy. Green light for buy all the way. Even if we see a move go all the way back up to $22, I would actually say probably don't buy that, right? If we saw a move tomorrow go up here, because likely you would just come back the next day and come back down. You could, again, get prices just lower than we're at now. But if not, if we do move up from here, I'd say wait. If you see prices above $20 over the next week and a half, and you want to buy, try to buy below $20. I bet you'll be able to snag prices below $20, even around $19 if you're patient and you just seize the opportunity when it comes your way. Much below 1880 though, I don't know if it happens. I mean, maybe we could go to 1820. It's possible, but I would say $20 and lower, green light to buy. Last kind of call to accumulate before this thing rips, man, and it's gonna do phenomenal. Kind of a similar comparison to BCHG, right? If you saw 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks there, 5, 6 weeks, moved up 333%. if this was the beginning of that next move up, right, we take it from a low point, try to get it at the actual low. If we were to just copy that same move, and that's not right at the low, it's just below it, but whatever, you know, by the end of this month, if not in the beginning of January, you could very well be at $70 or higher, right? So just a little food for thought there. Doesn't mean we have to do this exact same move. I'm just saying we've done this before from similar areas that we're at now. We could do it again. We could do it again. You know what I mean? So there's that for LTCN. I hope that makes sense. Guys, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. GSOL is the next one. Continuing to press down. Nobody could have expected this. Nobody saw this coming. No, I'm just kidding. We've been expecting this to happen really since since that first dramatic dump, right? If we look at SOL here, you're at 216. Moved down yesterday, 8.5%. GSOL moved down 5%. Not that dramatic. That's nice to see. 29.95. Why does that sound? Is that right? Is that right? That doesn't sound right. Did GSOL, did it change? What? Because wasn't it? It changed. What happened? The prices are different, right? Because it used to be like this low was above. It was at like 90 something, and now it's at the 20. What happened? What? Oh, they had a split. They had a split. 5-to-1 split. Dilution of shares. I don't know, man. Maybe there was someone that bought so much. They had to dilute their shares. I mean, if it was so diluted, they had to split it. Not that that was why they split it. I mean, maybe most of the time people split stocks because of they want to bring the price down so it's more affordable to the average investor, but who cares, whatever. That throws off my whole line of thinking. I got to redo things. Let's look at GSOL real quick. Hold on. Right? What's your NAV price now? Or your, yeah, what's the NAV price now? 16.26 per share, huh? Okay. Interesting. Okay. And of course that's factored into here. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna stop focusing on this so much. A little tripped up, but that's okay. So NAV price is 16.26. Okay. That's all I needed to know. 16.26. Solana itself probably does. Actually, it kind of looks like it wants to keep moving down. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I think it found its low. I think Solana found its low there. I don't think it moves lower. I take it back. Low right there. Oh, do I want to take it back? Maybe it does move a little lower. I like it. I like that low a lot. I don't think it moves lower. Okay, so I don't think GSOL goes too much lower. But I do think GSOL moves lower, right? Solana might be moving up, but I think GSOL will probably keep moving down until the NAV price is met, until 16.26 is met. But the thing is, if Solana moves up in the way that I expect it to over this next week and a half, you probably will see prices that are like 10% higher. 10% on $16, well, you're going to be like 17, 18 bucks. Okay. So then GSOL's moving down 17, 18 bucks. It's like basically at this low right here. I think over this next week and a half period, you're going to see this return to these levels. Over this next week and a half period, you're going to see Solana return up to these levels, and that's going to bring the NAV price right to where this low is. And then Christmas week, or right before Christmas week, like the ass end of the week before Christmas, you're going to see this thing bottom out and start coming up, and you're going to see Solana start coming up and rallying as well. Right? And if I'm wrong, you guys, and GSOL is not getting an ETF, if Solana is not getting an ETF approved, and GSOL is not going to tether itself to Solana in the manner of an ETF, well, then this thing's got a lot of upside. It's got a lot of upside to go. I don't know if it does, though. I'm not keen on that belief personally, so I'm not going to fill your guys' hopes with that. Right now, let's be realistic, keep our heels on the ground. I think we move down over the next week and a half to probably around these lows, let that NAV price gather up to the same area. Once we meet and we connect, we probably track Solana through the end of this year, going into the beginning of January, moving back up to prices that are around 57 bucks to 77 bucks. And if I'm wrong, and there's no Solana ETF getting approved or filed, and the premium can show back up in GSOL, you might just see this thing rip to new all-time highs in that amount of time. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't expect that. I'm not even going to measure targets because I don't want to get people too excited, but maybe there's a little hope. I don't think so, though. I genuinely, I don't care how many shares got diluted in this thing. I just don't think you see this. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe somebody did buy a lot up here in the PP sales. They bought a lot at NAV price and they just straight dumped. Maybe that's exactly what happened. But this, every time we've seen this with the Grayscale Trust, which is, this would be the third time, but we've seen it at least twice before, it's been because ETFs got approved, right? ETH had a pump, though, I think, instead of a dump, if I remember correctly. But let's continue. Let's talk about GLNK. I just want to keep that for the price. Like to monitor the price. You never know, right? You get a breakout in the middle of a video. So Link with a hell of a sell-off yesterday came in at kind of a higher low area, right? Like right where you'd kind of expect it to. Lower lows in the RSI, higher lows in the price. That's nice to see. 4-hour RSI getting weak. Looks like it wants to see a little pop. I bet a lot of cryptos see a pop today. They probably, what they do, because they just broke out, what today's going to be about for most cryptos is they'll probably back test previous areas of support as resistance and then slowly return back to their lows and maybe form some kind of double bottom, maybe form some kind of higher low or some kind of lower low. But it's probably gonna be like a slow crawl / very boring sideways week for most cryptos. Or if it's not boring sideways, it'll be volatile sideways, right? But so that's kind of my expectation for Link. I think it moves up. You probably start the day off green tomorrow, so GLNK probably moves up too. But I think overall this week and going into the end of the week, you probably do move down more, a little bit more. GLNK, looking at it on a weekly basis, it would make sense to me that you find resistance here from a high to a low, double bottom down here, all the way at your golden ratio. Yeah, pull back probably down to like 77 bucks. You're at 86 now. Dropped 8.5% yesterday. Link dropped 14%. That's awesome, man. I love seeing this. Maybe you don't drop all the way back down there. You are finding support at previous areas of resistance here and previous areas of support. But at the moment, you're at 86.50. I'm going to leave the door open to 77 bucks. I'll also leave the door open to the idea that you could be finding support here. But I don't think you do. I do think you go lower. At any rate, though, I would expect tomorrow you probably open up. You'll probably see prices around 94 bucks at tomorrow's high, 94, 95 bucks, at least 93. And then throughout the rest of the week, I think you spend your time coming down, and then sometime next week we can talk, or even at the very, very, very end of this week, if not sometime early next week, we can talk about a bounce and moving higher. Is probably my thoughts. So that's GLNK. 86.52, probably moving down to about 77, 76 bucks, somewhere in that zone. But you know, time will tell. We'll see how it goes. That's my expectation for GLNK. Once you find your support, your move up, I bet GLNK's at 140 to 173 by the end of this year, if not higher. That's my thoughts. And then Mana. Mana here. Moving up, man. Beautiful. That's crazy. Up. So this is what I was calling for yesterday, but not for the Mana Trust specifically. But just like Mana dropped 18%. This is so you guys know I'm not making it up whenever I say this stuff. If I say things that sound crazy. Mana dropped 18%. The underlying asset dropped 18%, but the trust moved up 3%. Right? That premium to NAV price got so close, and now it's expanding, guys. We're seeing it. We're seeing it. Yesterday was proof, and this is the only one so far we've gone over that actually grew. But I think that's kind of cool, guys. I think it's really cool. With that in mind, though, it's a pretty big sell-off for you to not catch up with that. And to be completely fair, too, if we look at the monthly, last month this thing only moved up 50%. Mana moved up 126%. Even with the 40% pump this month and the 9% drop in Mana on the underlying asset this month, this thing still has some catching up to do. So I mean, you don't have to go down. But Mana itself, the underlying asset, it could go lower. I think it really could go lower. We saw a price as low as 52, 53 cents down there. I have been saying for a little while we could see prices down at 50 cents. I have kind of forsaken those prices, but I think now, especially with this week dropping and obviously the last like 24 hours coming into play, I think that these prices are back on. I really would expect prices around 50 cents, if not just below 50 cents to come in play. We're at 59 cents now, so what I think is going to happen is, like a lot of cryptos, we kind of move up today, find support, find resistance at previous areas of support, and then we spend the next week slowly grinding down to these lower low prices. So Mana, I doubt you're just moving up this whole next week. You might get a little bit of a pop with the underlying asset moving up, I think, by the open today. And then probably you spend some time just kind of moving down, consolidating over the week is kind of my thoughts. So I would say Mana, I'm not going to call for you to move up or move down Mana Grayscale Trust. I'm going to call for you to just be boring. Be boring and be sideways, right? I doubt you move lower. If you were to move down, I doubt you move lower than like, let's say $17. If you were to move higher, I doubt you move higher than, I mean, really anything that you're at right now, but probably you don't move higher than $24 for the next week and a half. Range bound. Probably very, very boring price action is what I would expect for this trust over the next week and a half. And then from there, you could expect big things, man. It's the only one we've gone over that's actually moved up while its underlying asset moved down. So that's saying something. It doesn't mean that it's the one, but I have often theorized that this trust could be the top performing trust. It could be. Just because it could be doesn't mean it will be. BCHG could be, LTCN could be, GSOL still could be, ETCG could be, GLNK, HZen, ZCSH, any of them that I've been forgetting, they all could be. You don't know, but I do like Mana a lot. Full disclosure, I like Mana. It's one of my biggest bags. It's on par. It's on course to be my biggest bag with this upcoming move, but time will tell. We'll see how it goes. But with that in mind, again, this thing is the only one that did move up while its underlying asset moved down. And its underlying asset moved down probably the most out of any of them that we saw. 18% down. This one moved up 3%. I don't know. That could be a sign that this could be the chosen one, man. I think by the end of this year, for the Grayscale Trust, by the end of the year, if not by the end of January, you'll be at new all-time highs. And the minimum target's 139, maximum target's 337. Again, I don't think you'll be at the upper half of this target zone. I think the lower half, something between 200 and 140, is coming your way, and you're at $21 right now. So with the potential to go a little bit lower even, right? But probably not that much lower. I don't even know if you get below $20, but if you do, again, the lowest that I'd expect you to go to, what was it? It was like $18, $17, something like that. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for you. If you liked the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Load up on the Grayscale Trust. It's not going to be here forever. These prices are not going to be here forever. They're blessings, right? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember what I told you? I'll give you a second to remember if you don't remember, but I'm going to go over it right now, all right? You remember when we were at these points here over the weeks, right? These points here. I said when we pump, you're going to wish you had prices back down there. You're going to wish you had opportunities to buy. While everybody was crying and saying the Grayscale Trusts are broken, why is the underlying asset moving up and my Grayscale Trust is doing nothing? I was saying it's kind of ironic because everybody's like complaining down here about how the price is not moving up. We don't really have it yet, but we're getting a little taste of it now. But when the price does move up, you're going to be complaining about it up here, saying, I wish I could have bought more down there. This isn't exactly the most ideal area to buy, but it is another chance. It is your last call to buy, and it's more noticeable now, right? It's more noticeable on BCH, on all these Grayscale Trusts, that we're not breaking down to the downside, right? It's more noticeable now and acknowledgeable now that even if we do, the NAV price is not that far away, and we'll catch that, and then the underlying asset is tethered to it. It looks bullish. We're gonna be back above it in no time anyways, right? We're all aware the fears have subsided, and now that that's happened, we're at a higher price. Now that logic is coming in, we're at a higher price. Less logical areas, less obvious time to buy. More logical areas, still not the most obvious, but more logical, more obvious to buy. It's going to be the most obvious up here that the prices down here were good times to buy. Seize the opportunity while you can. If you missed this opportunity, that sucks. You could have bought it at lower prices, but don't miss this opportunity. It is an opportunity. And I'm on BCHG right now, but the same stands for LTCN, Mana, GSOL, GLNK, all of them. Yes, even GSOL, because even if GSOL is tethered, even if the ETF does get approved, it's tethered to Solana, which is likely going to do well as well. So if you like GSOL, you probably like Solana. You know, you're still going to see gains from here on. Even if it does move down, even if my theories are right, I probably wouldn't be interested in buying GSOL right now. If I had some, I probably wouldn't be interested. I might sell it, just knowing me, because if I was in the Grayscale Trust, which I'm not, going off on a whole tangent here. If I was in the Grayscale Trust, I'd be in them because I like the underlying assets, but I use these as a kind of force of leverage, a derivative to make more money. Well, if GSOL is going to not make more money than Solana, why am I holding it? I should sell it and then put it into something else, capitalize on my losses, put it into something else. But the thing is, you can't sell GSOL and then buy another Grayscale Trust, because then I'm pretty sure that negates your losses. So you'd have to sell your GSOL, then probably buy an underlying asset, a crypto asset. Just do that. Wait a month before you get back into Grayscale Trusts. But that's not financial advice. That's just literally what I would do. That's literally exactly tit for tat what I would do if I was holding GSOL right now. But what I would do is not what's best for you. Anyways, I'm on a whole rant right now, a whole tangent. You guys know how I get. I will see you on the next one. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. Bye-bye.